The fire that does not forgive. In the winter of 1642, long after the ashes of urbane grandeur had cooled beneath the cobblestones of Loudun, a lone figure crossed the frozen spine of the Vosges Mountains. He was neither priest nor soldier, neither noble nor criminal, at least, not by the reckonings of men who kept ledgers. His name was Thibaut Viremont, though he hadn't spoken it aloud in 3 years. Once he had worn a cassock and carried the seal of the Bishop of Toulouse. Now he wrapped himself in wolf pelts stitched with sinew, and carried only a flint, a rusted hatchet, and a Bible whose pages had grown brittle from smoke and snow. He had fled France not for heresy, but for truth, and in that age the two were often indistinguishable. Back in Paris, before the Black Death had begun its slow gnawing at the city's conscience, Thibaut had served as a confessor in the shadow of Notre Dame. By day he heard the whispered transgressions of merchants, students, and even fellow priests. By night he walked the alleyways behind the Rue de la Hachette, where candlelight flickered behind shuttered windows, and the scent of clove and sweat hung thick as incense. He didn't go for pleasure, though pleasure had its way with him, as it does with all men, but to listen. In the brothels, men spoke more honestly than in the confessional. They spoke of fear, of shame, of loves they could never claim. And Thibaut began to wonder, if God forgave all sins confessed, why did the church build its cathedrals on lies? The breaking point came during Lent of 1639. A young prostitute, barely 16, with eyes like burnt almonds, knelt before him in the side chapel of St. Severin. She asked not for absolution, but for a name. "My child died in winter," she whispered. "No priest would bury him in holy ground, because I bore him out of wedlock. Tell me, Father, does God call bastards by name?" Thibaut had no answer, only silence. And silence in that moment felt like betrayal. Weeks later, after writing a letter to the Archbishop condemning the Church's moral economy, its brothel rents, its indulgences, its convenient blindness, he vanished into the East. Not as a fugitive, but as a penitent seeking a truth unmediated by bishops or brothel keepers. He wanted to stand in a place where God's voice wasn't drowned out by coin clinking in alms boxes or the rustle of silk petticoats. And so he walked first through vineyards, then forests, then snowfields that stretched like God's unfinished canvas. By the time he reached the high passes of the Vosges, winter had claimed the land with teeth of ice. There were no towns, no churches, no women whispering secrets in candlelit rooms. Only wind, only silence, only the kind of cold that doesn't rage but waits. Thibaut learned quickly that the wilderness does not care for theology. His cassock, once white, was now blackened by soot and frozen blood. His Bible, once sacred, became kindling on nights when frost gnawed at his eyelashes. He ate boiled pine bark, chewed leather from his own boot, and once, in desperation, gnawed the marrow from a deer carcass, frozen solid in a ravine. He no longer prayed in Latin. He spoke only to the fire, if it would listen, and to the crows that followed him like judgment-made feathered. One night, as a blizzard howled through the pines, Thibaut dreamed of Sister Jean of Loudun, not as the saint the church had sculpted from her hysteria, but as she was in the margins of her private diary, trembling, guilty, haunted by a man she'd never truly known. In the dream she stood before him in the snow, her habit torn, her fingers black with frostbite. "You think truth will save you?" she asked. "Truth is the first thing the cold strips away." He woke with his beard crusted in ice, the fire nearly dead. He fed it bark, then his own glove, then pages from the book of Job. Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. He laughed a dry, cracked sound that startled the wolves into silence. Months passed. Thibault grew lean as a wolf, his mind stripped of dogma. His body hardened into something that moved with the rhythm of the hunt. He no longer thought in terms of sin or salvation. He thought in embers, in wind direction, in the squeak of snow underfoot. He could smell a storm before it broke, read the flight of ravens like scripture, and build a fire so small it wouldn't betray his presence, but warm enough to keep his heart beating through the night. And yet, in those rare moments of stillness, when the moon silvered the snowfields, and the silence pressed against his ribs like a lover, he remembered Paris, not the cathedrals, but the brothels, not the sermons, but the whispered confessions in back rooms where men wept like boys. He realized then that both the mountain and the city were haunted, not by devils, but by the unbearable weight of human need. One spring morning, as the ice began to weep from the branches, Thibault found a footprint in the mud. Not his own. Too small, human. He followed it for 2 days, moving like smoke, until he came upon a cabin nestled in a glacial hollow. Smoke rose from its chimney. A woman stood outside, skinning a hare, her hair bound in a red scarf, the color forbidden to prostitutes in Paris. She looked up as he approached, unafraid. "You're late," she said. He stopped. "I didn't know I was expected." "You always are," she replied, wiping her knife on her apron. "Men like you, priests, poets, fools, they all come eventually. Running from God or toward him. Same path, different names. Her name was Elodie. She'd fled Paris after her brothel was burned in one of Charles VII's purges. Not because she feared hell, but because she was tired of being the city's conscience and its convenience. She'd walked east, just as he had, and found the mountains less judgmental than men. That night, they shared a fire. Not as lovers, not as penitents, but as two survivors who understood that warmth, whether of body or heart, was always temporary, always earned. Thibault did not speak of God that night, nor did he speak of sin. He spoke of beaver traps, of frost-heaved roots, of the way snow falls differently before dawn. And Elodie spoke of candle wax melting on skin, of secrets traded for a crust of bread, of the strange mercy in being forgotten. In the months that followed, they lived quietly. He hunted, she sewed. They shared silence more than words. And when winter returned, fiercer than before, they built the fire together, small, stubborn, alive. Thibault never returned to France. The church declared him dead. His name vanished from records, swallowed by snow and time. But in a cabin deep in the Vosges, a Bible missing its first and last pages sat on a shelf beside dried herbs and a child's wooden doll. And on certain nights when the wind hushed and the stars pricked the black like pinholes in heaven's veil, the fire would flicker just so, and it would seem, as it always does in the wilderness, that someone, somewhere, was still listening. Epilogue centuries later, hikers sometimes find remnants of that cabin, a rusted hatchet, a charred beam, a rosary with half its beads missing. Local villagers say the place is cursed, others say it's blessed, but the truth, as always, lies somewhere in between, in the silence that follows the flame, in the space where faith and frost meet, and in the quiet courage of those who choose to build warmth in a world that offers none.